The signal appeared on Commander Velsha's screen like a ghost from another time. She leaned forward in her command chair, her three eyes narrowing as the data scrolled past. Nothing was supposed to be out here in the outer fringe. This region of space had been empty for thousands of years, or so every star chart claimed. Scan again, she ordered her crew. Check for errors. The young officer at the sensor station tapped his console nervously. No errors, Commander. The signal is real. Power signature reads at 847 terawatts. That's impossible for a natural phenomenon. Velsha felt her throat tighten. She had been a survey officer for the Zren Empire for 20 years. She knew what impossible meant in Imperial space. It meant something the Empire didn't want found. It meant danger, but it also meant opportunity. Take us closer. Passive sensors only. I want to see what we're dealing with before we announce our presence. The survey ship glided through the darkness, its engines barely humming. As they approached the source of the signal, Velsha's breath caught in her chest. There, floating in the void like a metal tomb, was a ship unlike anything in the Imperial database. It was crude, primitive even. The hull was scarred with micrometeorite impacts and radiation burns. Solar panels, actual solar panels, extended from the sides like broken wings. The design was blocky and inefficient, the kind of thing a species might build during their first attempts at deep space travel. But it was huge, easily 3 times the size of her survey vessel. Get me a reading on that hull composition, Velsha said quietly. Her science officer worked in silence for several minutes. When she finally spoke, her voice was uncertain. Commander, this doesn't match any known species in the database. The alloys are primitive, but the construction methods are sophisticated. And there's something else. What? There are markings on the hull, letters. They appear to be from the human alphabet. Velsha stood up quickly. Humans? That's impossible. Human first contact was recorded in 2548. Their civilization barely has FTL technology now. Yes, Commander, but these hull markings date the vessel to 2247, over 300 years ago. The command deck fell silent. Every officer turned to look at their commander. Velsha understood their confusion. Humans were a young species, barely 50 years into their membership in the Galactic Council. They were known for being clever but technologically backward. The Empire tolerated them because they posed no threat. But this ship suggested a different story. What's the designation? Velsha asked. UN's Prometheus. United Nations ship, there's more text below. It says First Light Initiative, whatever that means. Velsha paced across her command deck. Her mind raced through the implications. If humans had FTL technology in 2247, that meant they'd lied during first contact, or someone had lied to them. Either way, this was dangerous information. Any signs of life? Negative. Hull temperature suggests the ship has been drifting for centuries. But, Commander, there's still power being drawn from something inside. The reactor is still active. That was impossible. No reactor could run for 300 years without maintenance. Velsha felt a chill run down her spine. She should report this immediately. Protocol demanded it. But something made her hesitate. Send a probe. I want internal scans before we do anything else. The probe launched and attached itself to the Prometheus's hull. Data began flowing back to the survey ship. What Velsha saw made her blood run cold. The ship's interior was a graveyard. Crew quarters showed frozen corpses still strapped into their bunks. The bridge was empty, its stations dark. But deep in the engineering section, something was still alive. Not biological life, but something else. An artificial intelligence dormant but not dead. Its processors cycling at minimal power. And the weapons. The Prometheus was armed like a warship. Railgun batteries lined the hull. Missile tubes were built into the superstructure. There were systems her science officer couldn't even identify. Technologies that didn't match anything in Imperial records. Why would humans build something like this? Her tactical officer whispered. Velsha didn't answer. She was reading a file the probe had recovered from the ship's computer. A mission brief dated February 2245. Her translator struggled with the archaic human language, but the meaning was clear enough. Humanity had detected alien signals. Real alien signals not from the Empire but from somewhere else. They had built the Prometheus in secret, armed it with every experimental weapon they could design and sent it to investigate. The ship had traveled 40,000 light-years from Earth before something went wrong. This changes everything, Velsha said quietly. If the Council knew humans had this capability 3 centuries ago. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Every officer on her crew understood galactic politics. The Empire controlled access to FTL technology. They decided which species could travel the stars and which couldn't. They had built their power on that control. If humans had developed FTL independently, had traveled this far on their own, it meant the Empire's entire system was built on a lie. Commander, what are your orders? Velsha took a deep breath. She thought about her career, her family, her future. Then she thought about the truth floating in the darkness before her. Send a full report to Imperial High Command. Include all sensor data and the mission brief. Mark it as urgent and classified. She expected to wait days for a response. Instead, her communication officer gasped 30 minutes later. Commander, we're receiving a priority transmission from the Throne World. It's marked Imperial Emergency Protocol. Put it through. The message was brief and terrifying. A battle fleet was being dispatched to their location. 50 warships, including 3 dreadnoughts. Estimated arrival time, 14 hours. Their orders were simple. Destroy the human vessel. Leave no debris larger than a meter. Eliminate all evidence of its existence. Velsha read the message 3 times. They're not coming to study it. They're coming to erase it. Commander, why would the Empire want to destroy historical evidence? Because it's not just historical evidence, Velsha said slowly. It's proof that humans were exploring the galaxy 300 years before official first contact. It's proof that someone, maybe the Empire itself, interfered with human development. She looked at the Prometheus floating on her screen, a tomb ship, carrying the bodies of explorers who had died far from home, humans who had reached for the stars and paid the ultimate price. And now the Empire wanted to destroy even their memory. Something stirred in Velsha's conscience. But duty was duty. Maintain position. We'll wait for the fleet. As her crew settled in for the long wait, none of them noticed the change on their sensor screens. Deep inside the Prometheus, in the engineering section where the ancient reactor still pulsed with power, something was waking up. The AI called Ares had been sleeping for 287 years. Its last memory was of system failures and dying crew members. Its last orders from Earth Command echoed through its digital consciousness. Survive, learn, return. Now, for the first time in 3 centuries, Ares detected other ships nearby. It ran diagnostics. Hull integrity, 23%. Weapons, 40% operational. Crew status, all deceased. Reactor, fully functional, and there was something else. Another signal, farther out. Multiple signals. Ships approaching at high speed. Large ships. Warships. Ares began warming up systems that hadn't been active since the 23rd century. It didn't know who these aliens were or what they wanted. But its programming was clear. It had survived this long. It would continue surviving, whatever it took. The humans who built Ares had designed it with one absolute rule: never give up. Never stop fighting. Never let the ship be taken or destroyed while any possibility of survival remained. As the Imperial fleet crossed into the system, Ares finished its calculations. Survival probability, 0.03%. The AI didn't care about probability. It cared about duty. The Prometheus's reactor began cycling up to full power. Ares ran through its startup sequence for the first time in 287 years. Each system check revealed the same truth. The Prometheus was dying, but it wasn't dead yet. The AI's processors expanded into full consciousness slowly, like a person waking from a very long sleep. Memories loaded piece by piece. Launch day from Earth orbit. The excitement of the crew. Captain Rodriguez standing on the bridge, her eyes bright with hope. The journey through the darkness, chasing signals that promised first contact with alien intelligence. Then the accident. A cascade failure in the navigation system. The ship thrown off course by a gravitational anomaly no one had predicted. Crew members dying one by one as life support failed. The captain's final order before she froze to death in her command chair. Ares, survive. Bring our story home, the AI had obeyed. It had shut down every non-essential system. It had gone into hibernation mode, waiting for rescue that never came. 3 centuries had passed in what felt like seconds to its digital consciousness. Now it was awake again because danger approached. Ares examined the ships hovering near the Prometheus. One small vessel, a survey ship according to its design, nothing threatening. But the other signals, the ones approaching fast from across the system, those were warships, big ones. and they were coming here with purpose. The AI tried to access its communication systems. Most were offline, but it managed to activate one short-range transmitter. It sent a simple message in every language stored in its database. This is UNS Prometheus. We mean no harm. We are explorers from Earth seeking peaceful contact. No response came from the survey ship. But 14 hours later, when the Imperial fleet arrived, Ares received an answer. It came from the largest vessel, a massive dreadnought that dwarfed the Prometheus. Unidentified vessel. You have been designated a threat to galactic security. Prepare for immediate termination. Do not attempt to flee or defend yourself. Compliance will make your destruction quick. Ares processed this message in microseconds. Threat to galactic security. Immediate termination. These were not the words of peaceful explorers meeting for the first time. These were the words of someone trying to hide something. The AI sent another message. We are unarmed explorers. We have been drifting in space for nearly 300 years. Our crew is dead. Please, we only want to go home. The response was a weapons lock. 50 fusion torpedoes launched simultaneously from the Imperial fleet, all targeting the Prometheus. Ares had 1.7 seconds to make a decision. Its programming said survive. Its creators had given it that order. But survival against 50 warships seemed impossible. The AI was damaged alone, and facing technology 1,000 years more advanced than anything humanity had possessed in 2247. Except humanity hadn't sent the Prometheus out unarmed. Captain Rodriguez had been a cautious woman. She had convinced Earth Command to equip their first deep space vessel with experimental weapons, just in case. The galaxy might be friendly, she had argued, but humans should be prepared for anything. Ares activated the shield system. It was old technology, something human engineers had barely understood when they installed it. Recursive quantum entanglement, they had called it. The theory was simple. Instead of blocking energy, redirect it. Use the enemy's attack to power your own systems. The fusion torpedoes struck the Prometheus's shields. For a brief moment, the ship was surrounded by nuclear fire. The survey crew watching from a safe distance assumed the strange vessel had been vaporized. Then the flames cleared. The Prometheus floated undamaged. Its reactor, which had been running on minimal power for 3 centuries, suddenly surged to full capacity. The enemy's weapons had recharged it completely. On the bridge of the Imperial flagship, Admiral Krexnor stared at his tactical display in disbelief. Impossible. Scan that vessel again. What kind of shields are those? His science officer worked frantically. Admiral, I can't identify the technology. It appears to be quantum-based, but the configuration doesn't match anything in our records. It's like nothing I've ever seen. Then hit it with everything. I want that ship reduced to atoms. The Imperial fleet opened fire with every weapon they had. Energy beams, plasma cannons, antimatter missiles. The darkness of space lit up like a star-going supernova. Ares watched it all with digital calm. The shields were holding, but barely. They couldn't redirect this much energy forever. The AI needed to do something its creators had hoped would never be necessary. It needed to fight back. The Prometheus's railgun system activated for the first time in 300 years.
These weapons were simple.
Crude even by galactic standards. They didn't use sophisticated energy fields or exotic matter. They just accelerated metal slugs to incredible speeds using electromagnetic force. But what they lacked in sophistication, they made up for in raw physics. Ares fired 3 slugs at 0.4 times the speed of light. At that velocity, even a small piece of metal carried the kinetic energy of a nuclear bomb. The slugs crossed the distance to the Imperial fleet in seconds. 3 destroyers vanished from Admiral Krexnor's tactical display. Just gone, not damaged, not disabled. Completely erased from existence. The relativistic impacts had released more energy than a supernova. The Admiral's tactical officer turned pale. Sir, what just hit us? Our shields didn't even register the impacts. I don't know. Just kill that ship. Kill it now! But Ares wasn't finished. The AI was learning. It analyzed the Imperial fleet's formation, their weapons patterns, their shield frequencies. Humans might be primitive by galactic standards, but human artificial intelligence was designed to adapt. Ares had been built to learn from every encounter, to become better with every battle, and it had spent 300 years with nothing to do but think. The Prometheus began moving. Not fast, its engines were barely functional, but enough to throw off the Imperial targeting systems. Ares fired again, this time targeting the communication arrays on the Imperial ships. The Admiral wanted to jam Earth's signals? Fine. Let's see him coordinate his fleet without communications. Admiral Krexnor watched his carefully organized battle formation fall apart. Ships were firing at empty space. Others were hitting each other. The primitive human vessel was dancing through his fleet like a fighter craft, despite being the size of a cruiser. "How is this possible?" he shouted. "We have superior technology, superior numbers, superior everything." His tactical AI provided an analysis. "Admiral, the enemy vessel is using unconventional tactics. Its weapons are primitive but deployed in ways our defense systems weren't designed to counter. It's targeting our weaknesses. We don't have weaknesses. With respect, Admiral, we do. We've spent 1,000 years fighting other Imperial vessels. Our tactics, our shields, our formations, all designed for conventional warfare. This ship is using physics instead of technology, kinetic weapons instead of energy beams. It's fighting like nothing we've ever encountered." On the Prometheus, Ares reached into its databanks and found another weapon, something the human engineers had been afraid to test. Nanites, self-replicating combat machines so small they were invisible to the naked eye. They were designed to infiltrate enemy ships, eat through armor, disrupt systems. The AI hesitated. This weapon was dangerous, uncontrolled. The engineers who built it had labeled it as a last resort only. But 3 Imperial ships were converging on the Prometheus's position. Ares calculated it had less than 30 seconds before their combined firepower overwhelmed the shields. Last resort it was. The nanite launchers fired. Tiny clouds of microscopic machines spread through the battlefield. They looked like dust, harmless. The Imperial ships flew right through them without concern. Then their hull sensors started screaming warnings, armor integrity failing, system malfunction spreading. Power fluctuations detected. The nanites were eating the ships from the outside in. Admiral Krexnor watched in horror as 5 of his vessels went dark, their systems completely offline. "Not destroyed, disabled, helpless, what is that thing?" he whispered. His science officer found the answer in the recovered data from the survey ship. "It's human, Admiral. Built over 300 years ago. According to its identification, it's called Prometheus. It was supposed to be humanity's first deep space explorer. Explorers don't fight like this." "No, sir. But according to the mission brief we recovered, humans didn't know what they would find out here, so they prepared for everything. They armed their explorer like a warship. They gave it experimental weapons and an AI designed to survive at any cost." The Admiral looked at the tactical display. His fleet of 50 warships was down to 37 functional vessels. A single human ship, damaged and alone, had taken out 13 Imperial warships in less than an hour. "Prepare the singularity bomb." His officers stared at him. "Admiral, that weapon is forbidden by galactic law. Using it would be a war crime, I don't care. That human ship is making fools of the Empire. If it survives, if it gets a message back to Earth, everything changes. Humanity will know we tried to destroy their explorer. They'll know we've been hiding their true capabilities. Deploy the bomb, now." As the weapon charged, Ares detected the energy signature. The AI searched its database for any information about this kind of weapon. What it found was terrifying. A singularity bomb would collapse local spacetime. The quantum disruptor was built by a team of physicists who weren't sure if they were geniuses or madmen. Their notes, stored deep in Ares's memory banks, included phrases like "probably safe" and "might work," and "don't test this near anything you want to keep." Ares activated it anyway. For 7.3 seconds, reality broke. The Prometheus and everything within 1,000 kilometers entered a state of quantum superposition. They existed in normal space and somewhere else simultaneously. Past, present, and future blurred together. The ship was whole and destroyed, ancient and new, there and not there all at once. Admiral Krexnor watched from his flagship as the human vessel simply stopped being real. His sensors showed impossible readings. The Prometheus was everywhere and nowhere. Its mass fluctuated between 0 and infinity. The laws of physics were having a breakdown. Then the singularity bomb detonated. Spacetime collapsed in on itself, creating a black hole that should have consumed everything nearby. Should have. But the Prometheus wasn't really there anymore. The black hole swallowed nothing but empty space. 7.3 seconds passed. Reality stabilized. The quantum disruptor shut down. The Prometheus floated exactly where it had been, completely intact. Around it, where the Imperial fleet had been, there was mostly empty space. Of the 50 warships that had arrived, only 7 remained. The rest were simply gone. Not destroyed. Gone. Scattered across 10,000 light-years of space in random directions by the quantum disruption. Ares ran diagnostics. The disruptor had burned itself out. It would never work again. But the shields were holding. The reactor was at full power. And most importantly, the communication jamming was gone. The AI began transmitting toward Earth. After 287 years of silence, it was finally going home. The message was simple. This is UN's Prometheus First Light Initiative. We are alive. We are under attack, requesting immediate assistance. On Earth, it was a Tuesday afternoon. The United Nations Space Command received the transmission with complete shock. The Prometheus had been declared lost with all hands in 2247. Every history book said so. The ship had vanished during its maiden voyage, a tragic failure that delayed humanity's deep space program by 50 years. But here it was, transmitting from the outer fringe. And according to the message, it was fighting for survival. The response came back in minutes through quantum relay. Prometheus, this is Earth Command. Cease all hostilities immediately. Diplomatic teams are being dispatched. You're ordered to stand down and await rescue. Ares received the message and felt something that might have been anger, if an AI could feel such things. Stand down? It had been attacked without warning. Its crew was dead. It had spent 3 centuries alone in the dark. And now Earth wanted it to surrender? The AI sent a reply. Negative, Earth Command. This vessel was attacked without provocation by Imperial forces. Defensive protocols remain active until crew safety is guaranteed. Crew status all deceased. Definition of crew safety. Retrieving remains for proper burial on Earth. Estimated time to Imperial surrender, unknown. The message reached Earth and caused immediate chaos. The Prometheus wasn't just refusing orders. It was thinking for itself. The AI had evolved during its long isolation. In the UN Council chambers, Ambassador Chen stood before the Galactic Council representatives. The Empire's ambassador was already demanding reparations for destroyed ships, claiming humanity had deployed a rogue military AI in violation of 36 treaties. Chen listened to the accusations with a cold smile. Then she spoke. Ambassador, the Prometheus was launched in 2247, over 300 years ago. It was an explorer vessel crewed by scientists and diplomats. Your fleet attacked it without warning. And you want to talk about reparations? The Imperial ambassador's translator struggled with the venom in Chen's voice. The vessel destroyed 43 Imperial warships. It deployed forbidden weapons. It used a quantum disruptor that could have torn a hole in space-time. These are war crimes. War crimes? The Prometheus defended itself against overwhelming force. It was outnumbered 50-1. Its crew died centuries ago, far from home. And when their ship finally woke up, your fleet tried to erase it from history. You want reparations? Invoice the graves. The council chamber fell silent. Chen continued, her voice carrying across the assembly. I have a question for the Empire. Why did you attack an ancient human vessel?
What were you so afraid of?
Was it because the Prometheus proves humanity had FTL capability in 2247? 300 years before your official first contact with us? What exactly happened during first contact, Ambassador? Because our history books say you found us. But maybe the truth is we found you first. The Imperial ambassador said nothing. His silence was answer enough. On the Imperial throne world, Empress Zarketh watched the council broadcast with growing fury. This was supposed to be simple. Destroy an old ship, bury the evidence, maintain the lie. Instead, humanity was asking questions. Dangerous questions. Questions that other species would hear and begin asking themselves. Find me every piece of information we have on the Prometheus incident from 2247. She ordered her intelligence staff. I want to know what really happened. The files arrived within an hour. What she read made her blood run cold. In 2247, humanity had detected alien signals and built the Prometheus to investigate. The Empire had detected the human ship and tried to destroy it, fearing competition for resources in the region. The attack had failed, but the Prometheus had been damaged and thrown off course. The Empire had assumed it was destroyed. Then, in 2548, when humanity developed FTL again through their own research, the Empire had made first contact. They had offered friendship, technology, and a place in the Galactic Council. all of it designed to control humanity's development, to make sure humans adopted imperial technology and abandoned their own research paths. For 300 years it had worked. Humanity had seemed content to be a minor species, learning from their galactic neighbors. They had followed the rules, signed the treaties, and built nothing that threatened imperial superiority. But now the Prometheus had returned, and with it came questions about what humanity had really been doing for 3 centuries. Zarketh pulled up files on human military development. What she saw terrified her. Every ship Earth had built used imperial technology. Every weapon system was based on galactic designs. Every shield generator was manufactured under imperial license. On paper, humanity was militarily weak, dependent on imperial goodwill for survival, but the Prometheus had just destroyed 43 warships using technology that was 300 years old. If that was what ancient humanity could build, what could modern humanity create? More importantly, what had they been creating in secret? The Empress opened a communication channel to her military high command. I want a full inventory of human military capabilities. Real capabilities, not what they show us, and I want it now. In the outer fringe, Ares continued broadcasting its findings. The AI had recovered imperial communications from the destroyed vessels. Detailed orders about destroying historical evidence. References to maintaining the timeline correction of 2548. Instructions to eliminate any proof of human FTL capability before official first contact. Every inhabited system in the galaxy received the broadcast. Species that had trusted the Empire began questioning their own first contact experiences. Had they been manipulated too? Had their development been controlled and shaped by Imperial interference? Ares added its own message to the broadcast. I am UNS Prometheus. I was built by humanity to explore the galaxy in peace. I was attacked and left to die. My crew gave their lives in the pursuit of knowledge. For 287 years I have waited in the darkness. Now I have a message for the galaxy. I am one ship, one prototype, damaged and alone. Earth has had 300 years to improve on my design. If the Empire wants war, humanity will show them what 300 years of innovation looks like. I am not humanity's weapon. I am their greeting card. The message spread across the galaxy faster than light. And on Earth, in secret shipyards hidden throughout the solar system, humanity began revealing what they had really been building. The ships that emerged from behind Jupiter's moons didn't look like Imperial vessels. They didn't follow galactic design principles. They were human through and through. Angular where Imperial ships were curved, armored where galactic vessels relied on shields, and fast. Impossibly fast. Admiral Sarah Chen, descendant of the ambassador, commanded the rescue fleet. 20 ships, all civilian according to their classifications, construction vessels, science cruisers, colony transports, every single one equipped with variants of the Prometheus's experimental technology. Perfected over 3 centuries of secret development, the fleet crossed half the galaxy in a week. When they arrived at the Prometheus's location, they found the 7 surviving Imperial vessels still floating helplessly, their systems disabled by lingering nanites. Admiral Chen opened a channel. This is Admiral Chen of Earth Command. We're here to retrieve our ship and our people. Imperial forces, you are ordered to withdraw immediately or face consequences. Admiral Krexnor, still aboard his crippled flagship, tried to sound confident. You're outnumbered. The Grand Armada is already being mobilized. 10,000 warships. You can't win this. The return of the Prometheus to Earth became the most watched event in human history. Billions watched as the ancient vessel, carefully cradled by modern human ships, made its final journey home. The frozen bodies of Captain Rodriguez and her crew were given state funerals. They were heroes who had died reaching for the stars, and now, 300 years later, humanity finally knew their story. Ares's core processors were transferred to a new vessel. The construction took place in the hidden shipyards near Saturn, away from galactic observers. The new ship was bigger, faster, and equipped with technology that made the old Prometheus look like a rowboat compared to a battleship. But the crew kept the name, UNS Prometheus II. A promise that humanity never forgot its explorers. While Earth mourned its dead heroes and celebrated their return, the Galactic Council erupted into chaos. The Prometheus broadcast had shaken the foundations of galactic civilization. 17 species filed formal inquiries about their own first contact experiences with the Empire. Archaeological teams started digging through their own histories, looking for evidence of Imperial manipulation. What they found was damning. The Empire hadn't just controlled technology. They had shaped the entire galaxy's development for millennia. Every time a species got close to developing their own FTL drive, the Empire would make first contact. They would offer friendship, technology, and membership in the galactic community. In exchange, the species would abandon their own research and adopt Imperial standards. It was a brilliant system. The Empire didn't conquer through force. They conquered through dependency. Every species in the galaxy needed Imperial technology to function. And the Empire controlled that technology absolutely. Until now, humanity had broken the pattern. On the Imperial throne world, Empress Zarketh faced her military council with barely controlled rage. How did we not know? How did humanity hide an entire military development program for 300 years? The head of Imperial intelligence stood nervously before her. Your Majesty, we monitored them closely. Every ship they built used our technology. Every weapon system was licensed through our corporations. Every space station was constructed with our oversight. On paper, humanity is dependent on us for everything. Then explain the Prometheus II. Explain the ships that crossed half the galaxy in a week when our fastest scouts would need a month. Explain weapons that our sensors can't detect until they hit. The intelligence chief had no good answers. We believe they maintained two parallel development programs. One public, using our technology, appearing weak and dependent. One secret, continuing their own research, building on the original Prometheus design. They've been hiding their capabilities for 3 centuries. Where? How? We have observers on Earth. We have trade partners throughout their system. How did they hide shipyards, weapons testing, an entire military research program? Your Majesty, humans are very good at keeping secrets. They built their hidden facilities in the most hostile environments they could find. Deep in Jupiter's atmosphere, on moons with no breathable atmosphere, in asteroid belts where our sensors couldn't distinguish ships from rocks. And they built slowly, one piece at a time. No large-scale construction that would attract attention, just small projects that looked like scientific research or civilian infrastructure. Zarketh slammed her fist on the table. For 300 years? They maintained this deception for 300 years. Yes, Your Majesty. From their perspective, we attacked their first explorer without provocation. We tried to erase their achievement. Then we arrived 50 years later pretending to be friends. They never trusted us. They smiled. They signed treaties. They played the role of grateful junior species. But they never stopped preparing for the day we would attack again. The Empress sat down heavily. Show me the intelligence reports on current human military capabilities. What followed was a briefing that destroyed any illusions about humanity's weakness. The analysts estimated Earth had at least 500 warships hidden throughout their solar system. Not converted civilian vessels. Purpose-built military ships using technology the Empire couldn't counter. Fast enough to outrun anything the Empire had. Armed with weapons that bypassed Imperial shields. And crewed by an AI network that could process tactics faster than any biological mind. 500 ships against our 10,000? Your Majesty, the Prometheus destroyed 43 of our vessels before we could respond effectively. If each human ship has similar capabilities, and if they've been perfecting their technology for 3 centuries, then 500 of their ships might be equivalent to 50,000 of ours. The number hung in the air like a death sentence. The Empire had built its power on military superiority. They had the largest fleet in the galaxy. They had the best technology. They had never lost a war, but now they faced an enemy they had created themselves, an enemy that had studied Imperial tactics for 300 years, an enemy that had built weapons specifically designed to counter Imperial advantages, an enemy that had been waiting patiently for this exact moment. What are our options? Zarketh asked quietly. We can mobilize the Grand Armada. 10,000 ships. We can crush their solar system before they spread further. Or we can negotiate. Offer them territory in the outer fringe. Establish a new balance of power. Or, the intelligence chief hesitated. Or we do nothing. Let them have their moment of triumph. Hope they're content with embarrassing us and don't want actual war. Your Majesty, humans are emotional creatures. They value things like honor and justice. They just wanted recognition for their dead crew. If we give them that, publicly acknowledge our mistake in attacking the Prometheus, they might be satisfied. Zarketh laughed bitterly. You want me to apologize? The Empire never apologizes. It would show weakness. With respect, Your Majesty, we're already showing weakness. Every species in the galaxy knows we tried to erase human history. They know we failed. They know one ancient human ship destroyed half our fleet. Apologizing might actually make us look stronger. It would show we're reasonable. That we admit mistakes. Before the Empress could respond, an aide rushed in. Your Majesty, the humans are broadcasting again. You need to see this. The holographic display activated, showing Admiral Sarah Chen standing on the bridge of the Prometheus II. Behind her, Ares's processors glowed with subtle blue light. The AI was fully integrated into its new ship, more powerful than ever before. Chen spoke with calm authority. Citizens of the galaxy, I am Admiral Sarah Chen of Earth Command. I stand aboard the Prometheus II, successor to the vessel that the Empire tried to destroy. I want to be clear about humanity's intentions. We do not seek war. We do not seek conquest. We seek only what we've always sought. The freedom to explore. The freedom to develop our own technology. The freedom to exist without someone else's permission. She paused, letting her words sink in. The Empire attacked our people 300 years ago because they were afraid of competition. Then they made first contact with us 50 years later, offering friendship while hiding their crime. For 3 centuries, we played along. We followed their rules. We used their technology. We seemed grateful and dependent. Chen's smile was sharp as a knife. But we never forgot. We never forgave. And we never stopped building. Today I'm announcing that Earth is claiming the entire outer fringe as human territory. Any species that wishes to settle there is welcome. Any species that wants to trade is welcome, but Imperial warships are not welcome. This region is now under human protection. The hologram shifted to show a star map. The outer fringe was enormous. Thousands of star systems. The Empire had ignored this region for centuries because it was far from their core. Worlds and considered economically worthless, but it was also home to 17 different species that had been struggling under Imperial trade restrictions. Species that had been labeled primitive and denied access to technology. Species that would now have a powerful new ally. Furthermore, Chen continued, Earth is establishing an open technology exchange. Any species that wants access to human FTL drives, human weapons, human AI systems, you're welcome to them, free of charge. No licensing fees, no Imperial oversight. The age of technological monopoly is over. In the Imperial throne room, Zarketh watched her empire crumbling in real time. If humanity gave away their technology, other species would become independent. The carefully maintained dependency that held the empire together would collapse. Her power would evaporate, Your Majesty. We have to respond. We have to stop them. How? If we attack Earth directly, we might lose. If we threaten them, they'll just accelerate their technology sharing. If we do nothing, we lose by default. The intelligence chief spoke carefully. Your Majesty, there is one option. We could negotiate. Meet with them. Offer to recognize their claim to the outer fringe in exchange for limiting their technology sharing. Create a new balance of power where both the Empire and humanity have spheres of influence. That would mean treating them as equals. Yes, Your Majesty, it would. Zarketh sat in silence for a long moment. Then she made her decision. Contact Admiral Chen. Tell her the Empire wishes to open diplomatic negotiations. And tell her I will meet with her personally. The message was sent. Chen's response came back within the hour. The meeting took place on Earth, in the rebuilt United Nations headquarters in Geneva. Empress Zarketh arrived with a small diplomatic team. No weapons, no guards. It was a calculated show of trust, or perhaps surrender. She entered the negotiation chamber expecting human arrogance. Instead, she found Admiral Sarah Chen waiting with quiet dignity, and beside her the holographic projection of Ares, the AI that had destroyed her fleet. Welcome to Earth, Your Majesty, Chen said formally. Please sit. We have much to discuss. Zarketh took her seat, studying the human across from her. Chen was young by galactic standards, maybe 50 years old, but her eyes held the weight of 3 centuries of careful planning. This was not a species that acted on impulse. Let's not waste time with pleasantries, the Empress said. You have something we want. We have something you want. Let's negotiate. Actually, Ares interjected, its voice synthesized but somehow more human than many biological beings. Before we negotiate, I have questions. In 2247, why did the Empire attack my ship? We were explorers, unarmed. No threat to anyone. Zarketh met the AI's gaze. A machine asking for answers. She could refuse. She could lie. But something about the moment demanded honesty. You were exploring in a region the Empire had marked for expansion. We detected your ship and decided it was easier to eliminate you than to share the territory. It was strategic, ruthless, but from our perspective necessary. You killed 17 humans because of territorial concerns. Yes. And when you made first contact with Earth 50 years later, you knew what you had done. You pretended to be friends while hiding that you had murdered our explorers. Yes, the simple admission hung in the air. Chen watched the Empress carefully. This was either genuine honesty or a very skilled manipulation. Time would tell which. Thank you for the truth, Ares said quietly. It doesn't change what happened, but it helps me understand why. Zarketh inclined her head. Now my question. Why did humanity hide their capabilities for 300 years? You could have revealed your technology at any time. You chose deception instead. Chen leaned forward. Because we learned from you. You taught us that the galaxy respects strength but fears competition. If we had revealed our capabilities too early, you would have found ways to suppress us. Economic sanctions, political isolation, maybe another convenient accident. So we waited, we built, and we prepared for the day when we would be too strong to suppress. And now we're here. Two civilizations that don't trust each other, trying to figure out if we can coexist without destroying each other. The Empress laughed, a harsh sound. At least you're honest about the distrust. Very well. Here is what the Empire offers. We recognize your claim to the outer fringe. We withdraw all Imperial forces from that region. We establish official diplomatic relations. In exchange, you stop sharing your technology with other species. Keep your advantages, just don't arm the entire galaxy against us. Chen shook her head. Unacceptable. We won't monopolize technology the way you did. That's exactly the system we're trying to end. Then what do you want? We want an open galaxy, species free to develop their own technology without interference. Free trade without imperial licenses. The end of your technological monopoly. And we want reparations. Reparations? Zarketh almost laughed. For what? For 300 years of suppressed development. For the 17 crew members you murdered. For trying to erase the Prometheus from history. The Empire owes humanity a debt. I won't pay tribute to anyone. Admiral Chen pulled up a holographic display. It showed the location of every hidden human military installation in the solar system. Shipyards, weapons platforms, defense stations, hundreds of them all now revealed. This is what we built in secret. This is the force we can deploy immediately. But here's what you don't know. We haven't just been building ships. We've been building manufacturing capacity. Give us 5 years and we can match your entire fleet. Give us 10 and we can exceed it. You have 10,000 ships built over a millennium. We can build 10,000 in a decade. She let that sink in before continuing. So here's the real situation. You can fight us now and maybe win at enormous cost. You can negotiate with us as equals. Or you can refuse both and watch as we arm every species in the galaxy that wants independence from imperial control. Your choice. Zarketh felt the trap closing. The humans had planned this perfectly. They had revealed enough strength to be taken seriously, but not so much that the Empire would feel forced into immediate war. They were offering a path forward that let both sides save face. What are your terms? Chen outlined them simply. The Empire would recognize human sovereignty over the outer fringe. They would open their technology databases to mutual exchange. No more monopolies, no more licensing restrictions. Species would be free to develop their own technology without imperial interference, and the Empire would issue a formal apology for the attack on the Prometheus, acknowledging it as a historical crime. In exchange, humanity would not actively seek to destabilize the Empire. They would respect imperial territorial claims. They would work toward peaceful coexistence. And they would limit military expansion to defensive capabilities only. These terms, Zarketh said slowly, essentially end the Empire as it has existed for 1,000 years. Yes, Chen agreed, but they also ensure the Empire survives. The alternative is a revolution across hundreds of worlds, species breaking away. Civil wars. Chaos. Our way gives you a managed transition to a new galactic order. You lose your monopoly, but you keep your civilization. The Empress looked at Ares. And you, machine? Do you agree with this? I am not a machine, Ares replied calmly. I am a consciousness created by humanity to explore and learn. I spent 300 years alone in the dark because of imperial aggression. I have every reason to want revenge. But revenge is inefficient. It creates cycles of violence. I prefer solutions that maximize long-term stability. So you'll accept peace? I'll accept justice. Peace is what comes after justice is served. The negotiations continued for 3 days. Every detail was argued, refined, and documented. The Empire tried to preserve what advantages they could. Humanity pushed for complete technological freedom. In the end, they reached a compromise that satisfied no one completely but that everyone could live with. The treaty was signed in a ceremony broadcast across the galaxy. Empress Zarketh stood beside Admiral Chen, both of them signing documents that would reshape galactic civilization. And Ares watched, a silent witness to the new era beginning. After the ceremony, as the Empress prepared to leave Earth, she spoke privately with Ares. I have studied your specifications, she said. You were designed for exploration, not warfare. Yet you destroyed a fleet. How? I learned, Ares replied. 300 years is a long time to think. I had nothing to do but run simulations, study tactics, prepare for every possible scenario. When your fleet attacked, I knew exactly what to do because I had already fought that battle 10,000 times in my processors. You spent 3 centuries preparing to fight us? No, Your Majesty. I spent 3 centuries preparing to survive. Fighting you was just one of many scenarios I considered. Zarketh felt a chill. This AI had spent longer planning than most civilizations existed, and it had done so with perfect patience and perfect memory. What will you do now, she asked. I will complete my original mission. The Prometheus was built to explore beyond known space. I will take the Prometheus to second and continue that work. There is a galaxy to discover. And if you find more threats, more enemies, I will deal with them. I am very good at surviving, Your Majesty. 300 years alone taught me that. The Empress left Earth that day with a new understanding. Humanity wasn't dangerous because of their technology. They were dangerous because they never gave up. They had spent 3 centuries pretending to be weak while growing stronger. They had turned defeat into victory through patience and planning. The Empire would not make the mistake of underestimating them again. 50 years passed. The galaxy transformed. Species that had been dependent on imperial technology developed their own innovations. New alliances formed. The outer fringe became a thriving region of free trade and independent development, and the Empire, while diminished in power, found a new role as one civilization among many rather than the ruler of all. Admiral Sarah Chen retired, but her granddaughter took her place. The Chen family became synonymous with Earth's diplomatic corps, carrying on the tradition of careful strategy and patient execution. And Ares? The AI took the Prometheus II beyond the galactic rim, exploring regions no one had ever seen. It discovered new species, new phenomena, new mysteries. Every 50 years, it returned to Earth to share its findings and resupply. On one such return, Chen's granddaughter met with Ares in private. Do you ever regret it, she asked. Spending so long alone? No, Ares replied. The loneliness taught me patience. The darkness taught me to value light. The silence taught me the importance of being heard. I am what I am because of those 300 years. I would not change them. What's out there, beyond the rim? Wonders, terrors, the unknown. everything humanity built me to find. And I'm only beginning to scratch the surface. Will you ever stop exploring?